So I told you about my Macmillan guitar, my acoustic guitar. Wanted to talk about this old guitar here. This is a Telecaster I've had for a while. I've had it since '06. One of my first grown-up purchases in life. In 2006, I was a year removed from high school at that point. I graduated in '05. And so I was 19 years old and just started playing with a band here in Texas called the Casey Donahue Band, and we were kind of touring around the area, and I didn't really have a good guitar at that point. Had some okay little electric guitars, but I wanted like a good guitar, and so I was on the hunt, and I wanted a B-bender, something with a B-bender, because I had just learned about them and that all my favorite players used them, and that you could get some pretty cool sounds out of them. So I didn't really know where I was going to find one, so I was on the internet. Now, another purchase I had made was a MacBook, a white, solid white 13-inch MacBook, because at that time, if you were going to do any kind of recording, you either wanted an iMac or a MacBook. And I was going to be on the road all the time, so got that. And one thing you Gen Alpha folks aren't going to believe, but we didn't always have Wi-Fi in our houses. We would have dial-up internet, a really slow Wi-Fi that only allowed like one or two devices on it at a time. And since I was living with my parents at the time, they took precedence on the Wi-Fi broadband, so you had to go to like some place that had free Wi-Fi. And here in Midlothian, Texas, that was either Whataburger or Starbucks. So just about every night after 10 o'clock, me and all the other people around my age that had their laptops would go congregate there at Whataburger or Starbucks and hop on the internet and, do whatever. So, of course, what I was doing was hunting guitars, and eBay was coming into its own at that time too. It was really flourishing, really taking off. They had just introduced the make an offer feature, and I was searching B-bender on there trying to find a guitar. And what was funny, I can remember this, when you would search B-bender on eBay, most of the listings that would come up were for a pipe bender, like for conduit for electric work or copper pipe for plumbing. It's like a long lever with some kind of half pulley on the end. You shove the pipe into one side and you could, I guess, bend these different angles. So if you would type in B-bender on eBay's search deal, most of what came up was that tool, a pipe bender. And then there'd be two or three guitars, And this was one that came up one night. And like I said, it's a 99 custom shop Telecaster is what it started life as, with the double binding, which I think makes a Telecaster look really good. I love binding on Telecasters. And then the black color. I either wanted black or sunburst or Dakota red. And I think it's probably obvious why those would be the three colors for a kid from Texas that likes country. But a sunburst Tele would look like Merle Haggard's. Black is a classic. I love the black, white, maple neck thing. It kind of points back to Eric Clapton's Blackie Strat. So I like that combination. And then red would be Steve Wariner Dakota Red. Although I think that guitar might be an accidental red that Joe Glazer painted, but it's kind of like Dakota Red. But anyway, I found this one and I thought it was a really good looking guitar. So I think the listing was originally like $2,100 or something like that, 21 or 22, which was fair. I hadn't seen a B-bender guitar for less than 25, and this one was 22, and it was way out of my price range. But it had the make an offer tag had just started at this point in 2006. So I was like, I don't know how that make an offer thing works, but I'm going to click that button and type in 1,500, and I bet they say no. But 1,500 would be, a steal on a guitar like this. So I did, thinking that I'd get an email back the next day from the seller being like, are you crazy? I'm not taking $1,500 for this. It's 22, all that stuff. Anyway, I clicked the button. Now, mind you, I typed in this number and clicked submit, knowing I had like $1,630 to my name in my bank account. That's all the money I had. And that money had to pay for my gas, my insurance, my cell phone bill. I was lucky that I was still living at my mom's house at that point, so I didn't really have rent, but I'd if I wanted to eat, go to Whataburger and eat or whatever, that was kind of on me at that point. So, yeah, all the money I had, essentially, offered on this guitar. And it was accepted immediately. So I was expecting to be shot down the next day. Instead, it was like, congratulations, how would you like to pay? And I was like, oh, no. I guess I got to pay for this. So obviously, I made the payment and watched my bank account go from, almost $2,000 to almost no money at all, less than $200. And I guess I was, at that point, I'm half excited and half like, oh Lord, what did I just do? But that's caution to the wind, right? Let's see what happens. So that's the guitar purchase. All right. So now I've accidentally bought this guitar. I call this the accidental purchase. But anyway, so I've accidentally bought it, right? I was just throwing a number around expecting to get shot down. If he came back with like 18, I was like, whatever. Anyway, got it at 15. Then it's supposed to be shipped because it was in Iowa or Kansas or Nebraska, somewhere in the middle of the country. And it gets, it's going to be shipped here to Fort Worth. So I was like, I don't know about that either, because now shipping a guitar, makes me nervous. But anyway, I get a tracking number, so I think I'm good. Just pay attention to the tracking number and we'll be all right. So a week goes by and it just says en route. 2 weeks go by, en route. So now I'm starting to get nervous because I've got all my money tied up in something that I don't have in my possession yet, and it doesn't seem to be showing up. So I call up the carrier. I think it was UPS, or I'm pretty sure it was UPS. And this is not in any means a gripe on them. They actually went out of their way to help. But I called them, and at first I gave them the tracking number, and they just said, well, it's en route. So, it'll show up when it shows up. It's ground package. Could take 2 to 6 weeks. Just give it some time. So another week goes by, and I'm like, no, this ain't right, because I've bought things online before. 2 weeks is a pretty long time for a ground package to go, the 400 miles or whatever it was. So I call them up again, and they're like, well, we don't have any more information on it. It just, it says it's coming. So at this point, I'm like really upset. I don't know what to do, because I either need the guitar or I need my money back, because I'm a little bit broke at that point. So I emailed eBay about it and told them, like, yeah, it's lost. And they said, yeah, well, it's a shipping issue. It's not an eBay issue. So it's an insured package. You need to file the lost package claim with the carrier. So I do that. I call up UPS and I start to do this lost package claim, and I start giving them all the information, and they want the eBay listing and the purchase, invoice and all the tracking information. And so I get all that to them, and later that night, it was the same day I turned all that in. Later that night, I get a phone call from somebody at UPS here in Fort Worth, the hub. And he says, hey, I think I found your package. I've got a box here that was on one of the trucks. It looks like it could be, the described item, a guitar. But the issue with it is that the shipping address is like the sticker got damaged from the handling of the package, and we don't know where to deliver it to. We've got a town and a zip code, but we don't have a street address. But the return address matches your claim here. So we believe that's what it is. And I said, can I come get it? And he had told me, like, well, it's not really a customer-facing place, but we do have to confirm this is what it is because we can't deliver it without an address. So we made some arrangements. I said, I'm coming tonight. So I drove this phone call. He called me like 7. I finished up whatever I had to do, and I headed to Fort Worth from Midlothian. It's about an hour drive. Now, mind you, I'm 19 and I'm in a busted down jalopy of a Ford Taurus. I'm trying to get up 35. Don't really know where I'm going into, industrial area of Fort Worth. My mother was probably scared to death that I took off doing that. But man, I was on the hunt. I had to have my guitar. So I get up there and knock on the door, and they let me in. They said, yeah, here's this package. And so they were like, you can't open it because we're not sure you're the recipient. So we'll open it, and then you can confirm it with, they told me to bring like printouts of the proof of purchase and the tracking number and all this stuff. So we get all this confirmed. They open the box, and I was relieved when I saw a Fender guitar case. In fact, that Fender guitar case right there. And they opened the case, and sure enough, here it sits. And it was like, when I opened it, it was like that kind of moment. It was so beautiful. And I picked it up out of the case, and I'm not even gonna lie, it was in tune. It was so cool. I was so excited. So I could have hugged those people, and probably should have gave them Christmas cards. I mean, they were so great about it. So ended up with it about a month after I actually bought it, and I had the guitar. So that's the story of how I ended up with this guitar. And that's this video. But I'm going to make some more videos because this guitar has so many great stories, and I want to share them with you. So that's what we're going to do.